It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Live, local, and award-winning from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. And this guy has got something on his calendar every 5 minutes. You know, I mean, basically, if he's not talking to me, he's talking to a former vice president. He's talking to, you know, somebody at the Jefferson. It's Steve Scully. Welcome back.
I just literally finished an hour conversation with Steve Israel, Democrat from New York, and Barbara Comstock, Republican from Virginia, assessing the elections on Tuesday. It was fascinating. My takeaway is that the Democrats have got to run for something, not against Donald Trump. It was certainly a blowout for the Democrats.
Right.
I mean, let me just give you one example. Mississippi. Mississippi is a solid Republican state. 2 Democrats winning in Republican state Senate districts, which means the Republicans do not have a supermajority in Mississippi.
Wow.
Let me give you another example. New Jersey. 5 counties that Donald Trump won in 2024 flipped to Mikey Sherrill in 2025. So there is certainly something going on out there. You can't read too much into an off election year. But for the Republicans, there are some alarm bells out there right now.
Was turnout like, I mean, here in Erie, you know, it wasn't election year turnout, but it was certainly higher.
44%?
Exactly. That's like, that beat the primary by 20 percentage points. That's tens of thousands of people more involved.
Democrats are engaged. I think Republicans, look, you have a real schism within the Republican Party. You have what I would call the more George W. Bush, Mitt Romney wing of the Republican Party, and then you have the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. And, you know, this is now Donald Trump's economy. You have tariffs. You have a new ballroom. You have aid to Argentina, $40 billion potentially. You have a lot of angst out there in the country. And, oh, by the way, have you been to Five Guys? A burger is $12. I mean, these are things people are seeing and feeling every day.
It is remarkable, and kind of, you know, gas is down, but everything else is up. Either the price is up or your packaging is smaller. We were talking this morning about, since when did a bag of chips equal what used to be a pound of steak, a pound of beef?
Yeah,
$7 for a bag of chips. Come on.
I was at Wegmans in Virginia. I bought a 6-pack of paper towels. $14.95.
Oh my word.
I mean, I'm thinking they're paper towels, and they're Wegmans brand. I love Wegmans, but you know, everything is going up.
And it doesn't matter where you are; your wages have not kept up with the price of what things cost. And right now, I think it was Ben Shapiro was saying on his podcast yesterday, if you really look at the numbers, groceries are 50% more than they were in 2021. And again, there's a lot of inflation there, but we haven't retracted that back.
Yeah, and COVID is a factor. Look, Joe Biden bears responsibility, but like I said, this is now Donald Trump's economy. I was talking to, admittedly, a partisan, a Biden economist, who said, look, if you look at what Donald Trump inherited, things were pretty good. Prices were coming down. The markets were steady. Now you have all the tariffs. My guess is based on the Supreme Court. If you listen to Neil Gorsuch and Chief Justice John Roberts, they're not going to give the president the authority. So that's going to go away. That may be a good check and balance for the Republicans. But, I mean, things are not good out there. And now Donald Trump owns this.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Is this a pendulum moment, though, do you think, Tuesday? I mean, could we see... I don't think so much in Pennsylvania, because we really don't have a big race next year other than the governor's race, which we'll be watching that.
Yeah.
But do you think it's a pendulum thing? I mean, Stacey Garrity, you know, as we're talking about PA governorship, she's going to be a strong candidate. She's already won statewide at a higher margin than Josh Shapiro won. Beck.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. Governor Shapiro is a thoroughbred when it comes to campaigning. I was here just a few weeks ago giving money for the waterfront. You got to give the incumbent the edge. I mean, there was one Republican governor who lost re-election, but for the most part, Pennsylvania gives governors, Tom Ridge, you know, they give them 2 terms. So my guess is putting that, you know, if history is any indication, that Shapiro would win. I think what what the Republicans need to do, if I were the Speaker of the House, he's not asked me, but if I were advising him, I would try to kind of shift the focus back to the bread and butter issues and get away from all the stuff that Trump is trying to talk about every single day. That's going to be very hard. For the Democrats, learn what happened with Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger. I live in Virginia. She ran as a centrist, as a moderate. And those are the candidates that not only win elections, but also govern better. I'm on this rant because I have a real concern about redistricting. I think if you look at how Congress is working today, it is dysfunctional for a number of reasons. Too much money in campaigns, but redistricting is another social media, not your program, but the partisan social media. Right. But the third factor is redistricting. What is the incentive to work across the aisle? Back in the 1990s, there were maybe 110, 120 swing districts. Now we're down to about 20. If even that.
That's incredible.
So if we have what's happening in Texas and California, where lines are drawn to benefit one party or the other, here's the concern. That Congress, dysfunctional as it is today, with day 40 of the shutdown, it's going to get far worse because of what's happening in congressional districts.
What do you think about the filibuster? Is that staying put, or do you think they will blow the nuclear option?
They will not. I had Senator John Thune on my Sirius XM radio show, The Briefing, noon to 2 Eastern time, just to put a plug, channel 124. I asked him that question, and he said no. Here's why. I mean, it's very simple. At some point, the Democrats are going to get the Senate, whether in 2026 or 2028 or 2030. If this last bastion is removed, then when the Democrats have the majority, they're going to say, hey, let's make D.C. a state. Let's make Puerto Rico a state. Let's outlaw guns. I mean, they will use that. The whole purpose of the filibuster is to give the minority party a sense of involvement in these issues so that it doesn't mirror what happens in the House of Representatives. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about the filibuster because he's gone in 3 years. He's focusing on his agenda right now. He's not worried about the Senate down the road. Fortunately, Joe Manchin, who was on my show yesterday, John Thune, who's on last week, Democrat and Republican, Manchin's now an independent, but they understand the importance of the filibuster. So I think that cooler heads will prevail, and despite all the pressure that we're dealing with right now, it's going to stay in place.
But it was because of Manchin and Sinema that the Democrats didn't do it last time.
Exactly.
When they were rambling for it. Who will be the cooler heads next time that the Dems are in charge?
Well, let's talk about the Republicans first, because
John Thune is the cooler head right now,
and he's not putting the pressure on people like getting the pressure from Donald Trump. I think on the Democratic side, Senator Schatz of Hawaii, I think is one of those people. I think John Ossoff of Georgia will be one of those people. I was going to say the Georgia,
Missouri, Michigan folks, where it's pretty purpley.
Yeah, and I think that those people who come to the Senate and understand its role as an institution and will understand that despite all of its flaws, as Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except all others. And so, I'm a big believer in the filibuster because I have covered Washington and Congress for 35 years now, and they got rid of it for appointments to the cabinet. They got rid of it now for Supreme Court nominees. They got to keep it for these key budget issues.
You think about it. Everything that was passed with a filibuster. I mean, they voted on the Iraq War. They voted on Obamacare. I mean, it is possible for legislation to get through Congress.
Yeah, they try to, what passes what is the bird bath, if you remember Senator Robert C. Byrd. So it's not Byrd, that flies in the air, but they had tried to do
absolutely everything named after Robert Byrd in West Virginia? Right?
Just about.
Like, how many roads and airports can you have that would have your name on it?
Well,
right?
he brought a lot of money to that state over the years, no doubt about it.
No, so you think it's solid?
I do right now, yeah, okay. I really do.
And what I have it on my notes here. What is the mood in D.C.? Again, you live in Northern Virginia. A lot of federal employees. A lot of them not taking home a paycheck right now.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, my neighbors are government employees. I have two daughters in the military, and they're struggling, and so they're taking out loans, interest-free, to try to cover all of this. We have so many major problems in this country. I mean, we're facing major threats from China. We have a $38 trillion national debt. We have got to fix Social Security. We have a healthcare crisis. And we can't even keep the government open. We can't even pass a budget on time. Let me put on a wonky Steve Scully moment, which is the last time Congress passed the budget on time to the president's desk by October the 1st, you got to go back to Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich. It goes back that far. They have not done job one of getting things done. And so, as I look at all of this, I mean, Congress has been out. The House has been out since September the 19th? I mean, this is incredible. And the backlog of issues and hearings and everything, it's beyond a mess. And I think people just kind of throw up their hands. They lose interest because Congress is not doing its job. And I just point to the big issues that really need to be addressed right now that's not being addressed.
So, there almost is this in the back of the mind of most Americans is, soon it'll go back to normal. There'll be a finding of the norm, a finding of the center. Mm-hmm. Do you see any indication that would be the case, Steve?
Probably
not.
A
recess to the mean kind of thing?
The only thing I could refer to is if the Democrats sweep the House and the Senate next year, Donald Trump will have to work with them on his legacy. Divided government is probably the best thing to happen in our country because divided government forces compromise. It forces both sides to come together to get anything done, which is why Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich, despite the fact that they were polar opposites, we had a surplus when Bill Clinton left the White House. Remember the
right.
lockbox debate
Yes.
back in 2000? So I think that's probably what this country is going to need in order to really solve some of the big problems.
But let me push back a second because what happened the last time that Trump was in the White House and the Democrats had the Senate and the House is that they went instantly to impeachment.
Right.
And so,
mistake.
again, we're just blowing, we're just piling on the TNT here.
Well, you must have been listening to my conversation with Steve Israel. I asked him that question.
Yeah.
So my question to him was hypothetical. The Democrats have a narrow majority in the House. The Democrats pick up the Senate. Donald Trump is in the White House. If they begin with impeachment, what does that mean? He said, big mistake. First of all, Donald Trump's name will not be on the ballot again. Unless he does an impeachable offense that is clear-cut and Senate Republicans support us, that would be a huge mistake. Plus, you'd have J.D. Vance running as an incumbent. His message, which I would agree with, is if we win, we've got to focus on the issues that we ran on. Bread and butter issues, the economy, health care, education, my issue of trying to fix and shore up Social Security. Maybe, for God's sake, take a look at the debt and the deficit and figure out how to bring that down. Those are my words, not his.
Yes.
But my point is that that would be a huge mistake if they did that, based on what we know in November of 2025.
But see, Steve, Paul Ryan tried to do what you wanted to do, and they ran him out of town on a rail.
And Paul Ryan was with the vice president yesterday at Grove City College.
Was he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Steve Scully is with us. Hang with us. Quick break. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Steve Scully, the host of The Briefing.
Do you select this music? How does that come about?
It's all U2 and, U2 and 80s movie songs.
Oh, nice.
Like I'm All Right from Caddyshack or something like that. It's what we grew up with.
That's right, of course. I love it, love it.
Back when we were going to parties with the boys from Channel 35, you know what I mean?
Those are the great days. Friday nights.
Exactly.
Leading into Saturday morning. But what happened
late
then
Sunday
stays
nights
there.
late Sunday nights at the Plymouth for sure. Let's talk about the JES because this is year 17?
Year 17, yep.
And there's it's not just one heavy hitter. We've had President Obama. We've had Vice President Pence. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Henry Louis Gates is coming up, and other one. Juan Williams. From the Five. I mean, my gosh, this has been a loaded season.
It has been. It's been. We have a lot to meet expectations next year. And by the way, Monday, weather permitting, hopefully we don't get some bad weather here. I'm excited because you and I both remember Johnny Carson. This year would have been his 100th birthday. We still have some seats available, but I have Mike Thomas, who is the co-author of the definitive Johnny Carson biography, and Journey Gunderson, who is from the Comedy Center and Museum in Jamestown, New York, joining us for a conversation. And the exciting news is Johnny Carson is going to come into the conversation. We are going to bring his voice and some of the most iconic moments from The Tonight Show in a very different era. He was truly the king of late night. I'll give you a real quick story. I was a young teenager when Johnny Carson was still doing the show in New York City.
Oh, my.
And I was so excited. I had tickets to go see The Tonight Show, except I wasn't 18. So my older brother and sister got the tickets. But I've always been a huge fan of his, and I thought with his 100th birthday, so if you're around Monday night, join us at JES on State Street. It should be a very different night because it's going to be a night of laughs and humor and political humor, but in a very different era.
Hard to overstate the communal experience that having 3 channels and a guy like Johnny Carson who didn't really get political. I mean, nowhere near the kind of things that we've seen this year. I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about the Jimmy Kimmel deal and the Stephen Colbert deal. You understand the finances of what is making network television work, but it still looks fishy to a lot of people what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am the guy that booked Stephen Colbert for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the infamous one with George W. Bush. If I can tell you a quick story. Yeah. So that was the night that you had Bush and the Bush impersonator. They did a great skit back and forth. It was an iconic moment in Correspondents Association history. It's available at the C-SPAN website. And then we had Stephen Colbert, and he just sliced and diced George W. Bush, and he was ticked off. Wow. So I'm on the dais with him, walking President Bush off stage. He turned to Karl Rove. He said, "Find out who booked that son of a bitch." And I said, "Mr. President, thank you so much for being with us." He later found out it was me, and I have the highest respect. We brought President Bush to Erie, so no hard feelings. But yeah, I mean, Colbert is, anti-Trump. Kimmel is anti-Trump. I think Fallon is trying to figure out, how do you thread the needle. But yeah, look, there's a lot going on with CBS, the $16 million payout to the Trump family that will go to the library or whatever. This is a sad moment in the media, and it's the consolidation with, all that's been happening with CBS and now NBC. And clearly there's no question that it might have been a financial decision, but it does seem, to your words, fishy.
So the Barry Weiss taking over the news department at CBS. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of insider commentary about that. I'm not sure that Joe Public, who grew up with Walter Cronkite and watches 60 Minutes, really cares. But there's a scuttlebutt going on here. Could this be that media got too far, over its skis to the left? And a regression to the mean, or is there something more sinister going on here with Barry Weiss being president of CBS News?
Let me say both things are probably accurate. I think that, yes, the media has become, in many ways, in some circles, some orbits, very anti-Trump. I mean, I really do try to play it down the middle when I do my show on Sirius XM, but I can see that, no question about that. But we've also never had a president that has called out the media and referred to us as the enemy. I mean, I mentioned the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is a great tradition that is over a century old. And at the end of every dinner, every president who has been there praises the media and the First Amendment. Donald Trump has never been to that dinner. Not that he has to go. I'm not saying that. But you can disagree with what's being written about you without making you the enemy. Look, are we perfect? Of course not. Do we make mistakes? Absolutely, every single day. But no credible journalist, no credible news organization, whether it's the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CBS, or even the news side of Fox News goes out to deliberately put misinformation out there. And yet Donald Trump has made us the enemy. I have been in those campaign rallies where the Trump supporters are jeering at you. And it's like, no. And at that point, I'm at C-SPAN just covering the whole speech. I'm not editing anything. But Donald Trump is, I've often compared his presidency as the ultimate reality show, because every day, every couple of hours, there's a new, a new episode that comes out there. And so that's what I'm concerned about. Facts are facts. You can't fake that. And I think with Trump, and you have people on the left that just watch MSNBC and on the right that just listen to Fox News, that's dangerous. We need to trust our president, and we've had a lot of presidents over the years that we've not been able to trust. But now Donald Trump has really thrown the media under the bus, and I think that's dangerous for our democracy and for the fabric of this country.
I got one more minute on this, and I want to push you a second here. NPR got defunded along with this corporation with public broadcasting. We're really feeling it here with QLN getting 40% of their funding from the feds. It's horrible. But then when the head of NPR goes in front of Congress, and the stats are that 82 people in a newsroom, not one of them, voted Republican.
Yeah.
Isn't there some point to have a little bit more viewpoint diversification?
Right. That goes back to your earlier point that I said you're right on that as well. So with Barry Weiss, absolutely you can kind of move the needle more to the center. And absolutely, 60 Minutes has been on a tirade against Donald Trump. And absolutely there's multiple sides to the story. They had Trump on 60 Minutes this past week. And I'm sure Norah O'Donnell was very careful to make sure she didn't edit anything that would be misconstrued. I'm sure that there were a lot of eyeballs on that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And you can make the argument about government funding. I'll be very quick because there's so many choices out there. Do we need to fund NPR and PBS? But as a Ken Burns fan, PBS is a national treasure. It's
100%.
a small amount of money. And yes, you can try to steer them in a different direction, but also provide public funding for what are national treasures like WQLN, which is where I started as a teenager.
Amazing. Steve Scully is with us. Got news at the bottom of the hour. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, 105.9. Yeah, there's a little bit of 80s music there.
Is it all you two?
With that's what is it? Minds? Is that Simple Minds, Shane? I think so. That is from the Breakfast Club.
Oh,
don't you forget about me.
Can I tell you my Bono story?
Yeah. Please.
So we were talking about George W. Bush earlier. So his chief of staff at the time was mentioning to President Bush that Bono was coming to the White House to talk about famine relief. And so he was fully briefed on this. And as he's walking out of the Oval Office, Bush turned to his chief of staff and said, "Is Cher coming with him?"
Was this W or HW?
W.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But let me be clear about this. George W. Bush knew who Bono was. He was just trying to toy. That was so typical of Bush, who always had a great sense of humor. But his chief of staff said, "Mr. President," and then they burst out laughing. He said, I know who Bono is.
That's fabulous. You know, they once called you the most patient person in media because you had to take those phone calls.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Republican line, the Independent line, the Democratic line. How did that go? I mean, again, you did it for years and years and years, and I'm not even sure. And maybe you can correct me, but it doesn't seem like it was as vitriolic as it could be today.
It got more vitriolic in the Bush years, I got to tell you.
Did it? Yeah.
And social media has made it far more. The tone and tenor has been pretty critical. I mean, one of my favorite moments, and you can Google it sometime. Oh God, it's Mom, because I had two brothers on, Brad and Dallas Woodhouse, and they were on to talk about their divisions because one was a strong Democrat, the other was a strong Republican, and the first call was from Joy. Her actual name was Joyce, but the screen said Joy from Raleigh, North Carolina, and it was their mother. And the one said, "Oh God, it's Mom," and he said, "You're damn right, it's your mom." And I hope you get this out of your system now so that when you come home at Christmas, we don't have to deal with this. So that was kind of, and that went viral. But it has gotten much more caustic, I think, because of Trump and the era that we're in. And we're in a much more polarized media. And social media, feeds into a lot of that. But, the callers at C-SPAN, I think, we need some civility. Mm-hmm. And I think, one of the real tragedies this week, and I would put blame on both Nancy Pelosi and on Donald Trump. I mean, Nancy Pelosi calling the president vile, right, and then Donald Trump just basically dissing her as she's announcing that she's stepping down. Regardless of how you view Nancy Pelosi, 37 years in the House, she has been a consequential figure in American politics.
No doubt.
And I've done a lot of interviews. I just aired an interview with her, a portion of it that I did in 2001, her rise in politics and the influence her dad had in Baltimore. But we need to get back to disagree, but do so with a level of respect, because you can disagree with somebody on the other side, but at some point you might need that person to work on other issues. Don't make it personal. And I think Trump has done that, and I think Nancy Pelosi did that this week.
Do you think that all of the indictments last year to basically maybe try to keep Donald Trump in prison during an election, do you think that backfired royally on the Democrats, and now the chickens are coming home to roost with all these indictments on Comey and Bolton and so on?
Yeah, and I think that's wrong of Trump to have this retribution campaign.
Yeah.
Look, I think, I put the New York case aside because I think that was just a stupid case.
Which one? The one that actually convicted?
Stormy Daniels. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Convicted on 34 counts.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, classified documents, and Biden had them, Trump had them, right, but Trump was not giving them away, and he was trying to resist that. I think that might have been more legitimate. At the end of the day, though, Joel, people voted on the economy, and they voted on the fact that Joe Biden was too old, and they didn't like the fact that Kamala Harris was basically coronated. Not her fault. It was Joe Biden's fault. I had always felt that Biden said he was going to be a transitional president. He should have announced in November or October of 2023, I'm going to step aside, let the party determine who the nominee is. Would that have made a difference? Not sure. Kamala Harris did as good as she could have done. I think her public life is about over. I think that this book, she may run for president, but my sense is that the Democrats want to turn the page. They want somebody beyond the Biden era, so she's going to have a real tough slog. She didn't call me for advice, but I would have run for governor of California and stayed relevant that way. But that's her decision. So it may not have made a difference in the outcome, but I think that it only reinforced the MAGA Trump supporters with all of this.
I imagine you had Jake Tapper on your show.
I did.
After the book. That book, the Harris book, there's a lot of, you know, I don't know if it's revisionist history or like now we're hearing the real story of all of that.
Well, what I thought with Kamala Harris, she was very honest about some of her political enemies. The fact that Gavin Newsom didn't call her back and, critical of even Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. But, you know, I got to tell you, so I had the great fortune of going to White House Christmas parties, and my wife and I went in December of last year. Joe Biden and Jill Biden were there. And, you know, I think he knows me, but he came right in and said, "Hey, man, how are you?" And we chatted for a brief moment. I think he has good days and bad days.
Yeah.
Look, let me say he's old. People age differently. He certainly has a gait. He's had some issues with his, you know, his ability to walk. I think mentally, I think he was fine. I think he just had good days and bad days. Look at the State of the Union address back in February. He was spot on. Had a terrible debate. He traveled a lot. He was, you know, jet lagged. He was tired. He never should have run for a second term. So don't get me wrong. But he doesn't have Alzheimer's. He didn't have dementia. He's just aging, and we all age in a different way. So, I don't buy the argument that, you know, there are people kind of pulling the strings. 50 years in public life, pretty smart guy. Now, having said that, if you look at the debate in 2000 and you look at him in 2024, he aged a lot. I was in the room when he did the debate with Chris Wallace. He was sharp. He was smart. He looked fine. The presidency ages you, and in your 80s, it's going to age you even more. That's my take.
So we were both born around the time of JFK and Camelot, and you know, now the baton goes to you know, people of this century, right? It was Kennedy versus Nixon. They were both young men. What does that look like now for 2028? I know it's too early, but I mean, is this going to be J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, you know, 40-something, 50-something? Situation here on both sides, GOP and
absolutely.
And
I mean, look,
Dems.
Gavin Newsom is 57. Governor Shapiro is in his 50s. There could be some other candidates out there. Look, it's 3 years out, really 2 years if you consider what the campaign is going to be all about.
Gretchen Whitmer, is she at the top? Again, I like governors.
I like governors too. I don't want to say, look, I have 3 daughters. 2 are in the Navy. I have a strong wife. They're all badasses. I love them all. But I think the Democrats are going to go with a white male. I just
seriously,
I do. I just think that they want to win so badly. And that's, I have the highest, I think Hillary Clinton would have been a successful president. I think Kamala Harris would have been, you know, a good president. I think women can lead the country, and I have nothing against that. I just think politically, it's going to be an uphill battle for them, which is why I don't think Kamala Harris will have a strong shot in 2028. Also, the connection to Biden, they're going to want to turn the page, and they want to win an election. And just a gut feeling, again, I don't mean to sound sexist, because I'm not. I think that there are a lot of capable women. I think Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger are going to be terrific centrist governors who are going to govern from the center. But I think in 2028, now maybe a woman is a VP, but my gut feeling says it's going to be a white male.
So, but would the left wing of the party, of the Democratic Party, let an Andy Beshear, you know, rise to the top of that?
Depends on how he campaigns.
I mean, he's a very attractive candidate.
He is. Look, you got to win. You got to win an election. And I think that the fight that is going on between the Bernie Sanders and the AOC, and I don't buy the argument that Mamdani is going to become the face of the Democratic Party. What about these 2 new governors who are moderate Democrats? But we're looking ahead to something that, you know, we could not have expected, that Barack Obama would be the nominee in 2008. Everyone said it was going to be Hillary Clinton. So there are going to be a lot of unknown variables in this polarized and fast-paced media age. Somebody could rise to the top and propel themselves. I think the only thing I can say with certainty is that the Democrats will want to move forward. They don't want to look back. And they're going to be looking for candidates who are moving forward and represent that next generation of the country.
So that all is going to happen in 24 months. Let's talk about what's going to happen in the next month. when is this shutdown ending? And I'll let you weigh in on Pennsylvania. What the heck's going on here with our budget impasse now 4 months into it? Are you hearing anything from Harrisburg?
Well, the fact that you have, 3 judges now winning in Pennsylvania, those Democrats, that's indicative. I mean, you've got budget problems here in Erie and in Harrisburg. I haven't focused as much on that.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in the shutdown, that I've been following a lot more closely. I don't know. I mean,
Isn't anybody going to budge? I mean, no one will put their hat in their hand and say, I want to make a deal.
Schumer today put a plan that we would have a 1-year CR and that we would fund ACA through the end of next year with the hope that they would get the Democrats.
Stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if the Republicans, I mean, I hope we don't have a national tragedy. I hope everything in the air is safe, and I don't want anything. But I worry that we're getting to that point because these folks have not been paid for now, 3 paychecks? I mean, how can you live and pay your mortgage and pay the bills and pay tuition if you send your kids to school and heat your home without a paycheck? And if you have 2 government employees, as there are some in my family, how are they going to do it? So we are in uncharted territories. We've never had a shutdown this long. The House has not been in session since September the 19th. John Thune is adamant that he's not going to do anything until they reopen the government. Democrats feel that they have the upper hand. NBC News poll says more people blame the Republicans than the Democrats. But here is the bottom line. There's no trust. They do not trust each other. When we've had shutdowns in the past, people like Bob Dole and Bill Clinton could sit down, and there was a level of trust between these folks. The Democrats do not trust Donald Trump. They don't trust the rescission process. They don't trust what's going to happen if they give in on this. And they know that the base and the Democratic Party looking at them, because this is really the first wave for 2026.
Yeah. 2026, again, we have a big race here in PA for the governor's race. Where are people going to watch? Because, again, it's game on now for next November.
Right. I mean, this is for Governor Shapiro. This is, is he going to run for president in 2028? And how does he try to run up the score to win, a victory? I mean, right now, I think, you tell me, I think he's probably going to win as we speak in November of 2025, but a lot can happen.
I think the Republicans would be smart to coalesce against one candidate. It looks like it's going to be Stacey Garrity, and basically save their money for the World War III in the fall, the air war next year.
Yeah.
But
the bigger question is what happens to John Fetterman? Does he seek another term? Because he has alienated the base of the party. I've had Connor Lamb on my program. I've got a couple of other Democrats that are eyeing that seat. I think
now he's up in 28.
28.
Right? Yeah.
So we've got 3.5 years.
He
to
may
go.
not even want it.
He may decide I don't want to deal with this anymore. Yeah, one term and he's done.
He's just kind of one of those free agents, right?
Has he been on your show?
He has. Yeah. It's hard because you got to work it out, but. When's the last time he was on yours?
Oh, only during the campaign. It's been a while. Yeah.
So I think same thing for us. Yeah.
You almost have to interview him in person. It's very hard to do it on the phone. And
maybe I'll drive to Braddock. No problem.
Yeah. No, I mean I wish him the best. He's a stroke survivor.
I mean we've had McCormick on like almost every other month. You know, and we're excited about some of the things that he's pushing hard for as far as energy and. I mean, but that's a great thing where Republicans and Democrats can agree in this region,
right?
Where it's in all of the above energy policy, economic development. Shapiro's really hung his hat on that,
and he's from this neck of the woods. I mean, he's from Western Pennsylvania, and so that is a huge benefit to Erie and Pittsburgh because with all due respect to Bob Casey, who came up here. Not that often. And I think that I think Dave McCormick. I think he gets Erie. I had him on my show when he was running for the U.S. Senate last year, and I could tell he was in the car. And I said, "So Mr. McCormick, where are you?" He goes, "Oh, I'm on I-79 just past Meadville. I'm heading to Erie." I said, "Oh, I know that neck of the woods." and it was about lunchtime, and I said, "So what are you doing for lunch?" And I said, "I'm kind of hungry. I don't know." So I sent him over to Sarah's. And
awesome.
he had the orange sherbet is it orange vanilla sherbet?
Orange vanilla
and
twist.
had a hot dog, and he posted it on X. He said, "Thank you at Steve Scully," and it went viral. So
That's
whatever
awesome.
I'm able to do to help the Erie economy in Sarah's, which is one of my favorite places.
I got like 3 or 4 minutes with Steve Scully left, and I want to talk about your amazing family here in Erie.
Oh, thank you.
And give us a story, because you tell great stories, about Thanksgiving in the Scully house, as you were coming up. I mean, there's a lot of kids. And how soon did, like, the in-laws, like the boyfriends and girlfriends start coming around the big table? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm the 14th of 16.
So you're at the very
I'm
end.
at the end. 5 sets of twins, 4 sets of twins, 3
So
singles.
Erin is the youngest?
Erin is the baby dumpling. She's going to kill me for saying that. She is the youngest.
Erin and I went to school together.
Yeah, I'll tell her you said hello.
Yes.
She may be listening. And Thanksgiving was always fun. I mean, my mom was incredible. She would begin baking and planning, a few days before. But what would be incredible is that she had a big family, and they would come like 4 or 5 days in advance, and they would stuff all the turkeys, and then she'd cook a big meal at dinner time for all the people coming in, and then she'd turn around and get ready for Thanksgiving. But I always remember, so my dad, every Thanksgiving, would take us to Presque Isle because he had to get us out of the house. My mom wanted to get things ready, so we would go turkey hunting. We never found a turkey, but that's how we did it. But you mentioned about in-laws coming, or boyfriends and girlfriends, and we'd be sitting and we'd have 2 waves, because you'd have the young kids with one dinner and then the second seating. We did, and we'd look around and say, "Who are you?" And I'm with Pat, or I'm Maureen's boyfriend. Oh, well, welcome. Can you pass the mashed potatoes? But it was a great tradition. And look, I grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters and a lot of cousins, so I didn't know any different.
Wow. You roll forward to Thanksgiving in 2025. We don't need to make this a war zone.
No.
This could be all about love and consideration,
Well, it goes back to, oh God, it's mom, I mean, I've got Bernie Sanders in my family, and I've got Donald Trump in my family. And I think what we've learned is, we love each other. We care about each other. Sometimes just don't talk politics. I mean, really, it's amazing that now you go on these dating apps, not that I have, I'm happily married,
Right.
but I see these apps in this, like, your political ideology. And that's become more of a defining moment than your race or religion. Because remember, my God, if you're Catholic, you can't go out with an Episcopalian or a Jewish person. Now it's like, well, if you're a Trump Republican, I can't date you, or if you're a Barack Obama Democrat.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your family's sacrifice.
Well, thank you for promoting the
children.
Jefferson
Yeah.
Educational Society.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, and Henry Louis Gates coming up in December. And do you know who the big get we're trying to get down the road? Can I let you in a little secret?
Please.
The Pope. We're going to work on the Pope.
Oh, why not?
Why not?
Wow.
So
I mean, he's a White Sox fan,
he is.
but we won't hold that against him.
Maybe we'll have Barack Obama. Furky thinks Obama interviewing the Pope. How would that go?
That would be
Could we sell out the Erie Insurance Arena?
In Erie, Pennsylvania. No, let's do it in the summer and
Yeah.
do the ballpark. We'll do like when, what was it, Pope Paul went to the Mets game or something like that.
Oh, that's right.
You know, the
got a good
mass of the
memory.
Mets. Oh, my
Absolutely.
gosh. Thank you, Steve.
You bet, Joel. Thank you.
You got it. Here it is, 4:53.